point would be like dApps leveraging other dApps. So like I don't know the exact specifics around it. I wish I would have looked it up just before this call, but um, Daniel Sesto was talking about how he was going to launch a protocol that competes with Robin Finance,
Oh yeah.
and he pretty much laid out this entire how he was going to leverage about 3 or 4 existing protocols to just build this one you know, to just vampire attack Robin, essentially. So I think we're going to see more of that, where we're going to see a lot of these novel protocols get built upon these pre-existing protocols. So like convex, spell, ice. I think we're only going to see more of that, and how they um, and I think we're only going to see protocols leveraging more protocols going forward. So ultimately, I want to see more protocols like Alchemix. I think Alchemix is probably one of the most. You can't do it in traditional finance. The ability to take out a loan that repays itself out. I want to see more protocols like that being built. So something as novel as like uh, unliquidatable loans, but for other protocols. Um,
Yeah, I think there's a lot to kind of unpack there. But first, like I think like Joseph, are you personally like looking into any of these um I guess like yeah, DeFi 2.0, I still don't know what to call this kind of sector. Kind of like Olympus and like all of those guys, right? Or the other side of like yeah, like kind of like guys like Alchemix, the dApps leveraging other dApps and things like that. Like, are you looking into like any of these like kind of sectors, like subsectors?
Yeah, for sure. I think as for DeFi 2.0, I think there will be more sort of like aggregators across different subsectors within DeFi. And for me personally, I think the building blocks, the fundamental building blocks of those subsectors would likely be, things like cross-chain wallets, bridges.
Yeah, we're
So,
looking at
so
that.
these, yeah, so these things that connect different ecosystems. And like, if you think about like, for example, going from Terra to like Avalanche in the future, people would definitely opt into the official bridge, but at the same time, the official bridge can be centralized. So people look into different bridges, especially power users. And so that plus, retail users will always look towards using like cross-chain wallets that support different blockchains. So I think we don't really know like what DeFi 2.0 will be like um in the foreseeable future, but I'm personally focused on like the building blocks that would eventually support DeFi 2.0.
yeah,
So
and
good.
yeah, I think that was kind of what we were focusing on in the weeks prior to this. This DeFi 2.0 is kind of a recently coined term that we've seen pop up. I think, man, Scoggles, I forget his name. Um, the Alchemix dev, he just aligned a big article, pretty much uh, uh, talking about all these points that I've talked about so far. And yeah, so it's kind of this new emerging theme that we've been picking up on. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much what I have to say about that.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I haven't really looked into Alchemix. I should look into a little bit more. Cool. Yeah, I mean, if we don't have like things to say about this topic, like we can kind of move on because like I'm like not really that familiar.
Okay. Um, yeah, so I think a theme that we're going to see emerge is going to be MEV protection. We just saw Yearn Finance just integrate Cow, um, And I think we're going to see more they integrated cow so they could move liquidity without um, people front running them. And I think we're going to see more protocols adopt this, as well as kind of like institutional players. So like there was the uh, Three Arrows Capital when they went and bought those punks. Like they had to do it all in one transaction, so they didn't get front run. And I think we're going to see more of that going on in the future, just as institutional players just try to hide their plays. And I think this is also another. It shares the same talking point is shared with privacy of institutional players trying to protect their alpha and trying to protect their plays and get in early while they still can. So I think MEV protection is going to be going
Is
to
that
continue
like
as a.
sorry, is MAV protection like protecting their alpha, like their transactions?
I'll explain that part. So for MEV, that's where you tip the miner. So
Oh,
when
okay,
you're
okay.
bought, see, it's specific to Ethereum. Even though other chains like Binance Smart Chain are EMV compatible, MEV it's specific to Ethereum in the sense of when you are submitting a transaction. Let's say it's on the mempool or something. In order to gain priority
Right.
when sniping, you will tip the miner. And so I'm not exactly sure how Cal works to prevent people from tipping the miner since it's part of the blockchain. But yeah, so that's what the
Oh,
MEV
super
part is.
interesting. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Is that like I don't know, like is that like big enough where people are
Oh,
like
big time.
really?
It's it's newsworthy if they're able to stop sandwich attacks because and you'll probably notice for example I when I had to move a lot of money over I had to move it to KuCoin but KuCoin didn't have BUSD and so I had to take all my BUSD and use 1 inch to swap it over to BNB. But because I was doing large transactions, even me, I was scared. But I used 1 inch because it's not like one pool. It uses like 50 different dexes. And so there are ways around being sandwich attacked by using protocols that are not notorious for being sandwich attacked. But if you use like PancakeSwap, there are bots that are literally set up with the fastest node ever that will detect your purchase and it'll buy right before and it'll sell right after you. So the way it works, just a quick bird's eye view, is you set the bot to detect a certain amount, a purchase amount. Let's say you said anytime
No,
someone
that makes
buys,
sense. Yeah, yeah. It's like what the
yeah,
high frequency guys do, right? In the traditional world.
yeah. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
buy
yeah.
immediately and sell right after you.
Yeah,
So
that makes
then you're
sense.
like, wait, where did all my money go? Yeah.
Got
Yeah,
it, got it.
I think it also depends a lot of the slippage, right? Like a lot of these like Asian players, like they usually put slippage to like what, like 10-15%,
No,
and
but
Yeah,
here's the
then
thing with
mine's
they
at
forget
slippage.
to
20.
put it back.
Yeah, mine's at 20.
No,
Yeah.
but
Nice.
even with slippage, I mean, slippage is set at a certain time. But for example, I believe it's the case that slippage is not set once until you click the confirm on MetaMask. So you could get front run before you submit the transact, like you know what I mean? Like the buy price will change.
Right.
So so when Vitalik went to sell his Shiba on Uniswap, uh, there was bots watching his wallet, of course, and then when he went to execute the transaction, there were so many bots trying to front run him that uh, it bogged down the network, and I think it took like Vitalik's transaction like a certain amount of time before it ultimately failed. I don't know the exact specifics around
Oh,
it, but
got it.
um,
He
yeah.
got rugged
So
by his creation.
Yeah, pretty much. So a lot of yeah, he can't even use Ethereum DeFi. Pretty much, I guess is the
Yeah, that's a Chad
Typical
move.
Vitalik.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
He's rugged by his own shit.
Dude, that's crazy.
I, I remember he was like making this tweet like how Bitcoin transaction fees are like so expensive. Like back in like I don't know, like this was like back a few years ago, and now Ethereum transaction fees are like it's like 100
I
times
know,
that.
I know. It's crazy right now. Yeah, especially with these like NFT shops and things like that, right?
Oh
True,
God,
true.
I know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also for the MEV part, I think I just want to like cover this. I think there are like two main players right now. I really like the cow swap guys, obviously. And
Mm.
then there's another one called Alchemist. This is not Alchem Mix, but this is
Oh,
Alchemist.
Alchemist. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is by the I mean they keep saying it's not, but it's by the Flashbot guys. And the Flashbot is obviously invested by Paradigm. And then the main dev there, the Ghost dev, like he's all like I think they have the whole like Anon team kind of like working on this, and I
Right.
believe they recently released the Ethereum RPC where you can just use it the MEV trend. You can you can prevent front running by from your MetaMask now. Yeah, and
Oh
then
shit.
just
Okay. So
yeah.
Alchemist is MBB production like mechanism, basically.
Yeah, so they have an exchange called MistX. So whenever I do any transaction, either on SushiSwap or whether it's on Uniswap, I always use that so that I don't get front
Oh,
run. Yeah, especially
got it.
when you're buying or selling something. And then
Got it.
also,
Okay.
yeah, they recently had an update, so it's worth checking it out if you guys are looking into
Alchemist.
that. I mean, yeah,
Okay. Got it. Got it.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Mist X. I think that's their app. Yeah, swap with Mist X. Got it. Yeah, Joseph, you want to add anything on that? We actually want to move on to metaverse after this. I know we have a privacy thing here, but
No, I think you guys comprehensively covered that. So yeah, I think moving on.
yeah, it's just like whatever you want to add. Like, I feel like like we might need to give you a little problem. Yeah, dude, let's kind of like go through some of the metaverse stuff. I do want to like give you a chance to kind of chime in here. In terms of metaverse, like, is there like a bigger category that you're looking at in terms of like dividing metaverse into different plays, or is it just all kind of jumbled up in this one word called
Well,
metaverse?
should we maybe try to define it so we all kind of have a idea of
Exactly, exactly.
what we're trying to talk about here?
Yeah, sure.
Does anybody want to? Yeah, try Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, metaverse in itself has a very broad definition of a digital economy and a digital virtual space. But I think within crypto, a metaverse would be things like Decentraland, where you can meet other people in like a digital setting, or it could be RPG games like Treeverse, or it could be just crypto games like Axie. And I've lived in Vietnam for a couple months, and I've been in the Philippines for a couple months, and I'm going back to Korea soon. But being on the ground in Southeast Asia, I've been seeing just absolute like monstrous adoption happening to the point where like
Right.
everyone around you, everyone in cafes, everyone at every place are playing Axie. So I think
That's
that
so
I
crazy.
think I think that naturally segued me to focus on metaverse like even more so.
Yeah, that's nuts. I guess like yeah, metaverse. There's like a lot of definition. I don't know. Is Axie a metaverse? Axie's it's like a GameFi, right? Like that's how we would define it.
I
Yeah, I
think
think
though.
I mean
Yeah, go ahead.
I think for me, GameFi is a part of metaverse because it's still a digital setting, it's still digital economy, and it's still a place where people kind of communicate with one another. So I think as long as a digital economy fuels that ecosystem, I think it is okay and safe to define it as metaverse.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Uh, yeah,
and I think like later on we will probably start seeing these projects where they will be connecting each metaverses, and then yeah, grow from there kind of thing. Yeah.
This is like how I was defining metaverse. So like I do want to like kind of like get this term right, and then move on to some of the like smaller categories. But basically, like metaverse, in my opinion, is different from game because like basically a game, like everything happens in digital world, right? Like I think that's called the internet, right? And what GameFi and Metaverse is different is that GameFi acts more as like a top-down kind of structure where there's like things that are being created at the top, and then whether that's an item, whether that's characters, whether that's like whatever, right? And like it's kind of distributing down to like all the MMORPG, World of Warcraft, Lineage, like all of that is like I consider like those as like potentially being GameFi or already being GameFi, Axie Infinity, um, and then the metaverse side is more of platform, meaning that it's a marketplace between like there are things happening um, within that digital economy where it becomes a marketplace. So like there are different vendors that kind of pop up. There's like there's a lot more creation freedom with like the users, kind of like Roboblocks, like what those guys are doing. Like it's more of like a community, more of like like less of a top down, more of a like a market ecosystem where like creators are not limited to like the top developers, but it can be anyone anyone in the ecosystem that can create something, right? So that's how I was defining it. But yeah, obviously, like maybe there's like it's too early to kind of like define these like wording. But I do want to like go through it. So I think one of the biggest, because like I'm big on metaverse as well. And one of the biggest thing that I see right now for opportunity in metaverse is that obviously like Facebook is hugely moving in. Like, I feel like, like the biggest opportunity that I see for metaverse is from Web 2 to Web 3, there's a shift in value transfer. As in, like Web 2, you know, people who create value doesn't necessarily monetarily benefit from that. It's very limited. And Web3 allows micro segments of value to be kind of like realized monetarily, right? Like, it allows like transference of like value to from user to user basis. So with metaverse, I feel like that is almost like a perfect platform where like if Web3 kind of comes in, metaverse is becomes like the hub to leverage a lot of those like value creation and like value transference. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on metaverses. And so is like every other Facebook and like these guys like Microsoft that are all creating metaverses right now, right? So wanted to hear like your kind of take on metaverses and like how you're defining it, Joseph.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and I think most of the major GameFi projects, especially crypto games, I think their goal eventually is to create their own metaverses within the game, so that people can play the game and then communicate within their independent metaverses, and then eventually, like in the future, these different metaverses in these games can connect with other metaverses, so they become interconnected and create like this network of metaverses. So I think the crypto games are going in the right direction to support the broader definition of metaverse. And I think eventually what would happen is like we would see these major crypto games that gain a lot of adoption. They would start developing their own metaverse, where you could trade like in-game items and communicate with others, but in a more like engaging setting. to really support that metaverse theme.
Got it. Do you see any? Because like I feel like metaverse still lacks like categorization and detailing. I don't know if like Joseph or anyone else kind of like sees this right now, but like it's still pretty early, right? So like I feel like when someone says metaverse, it's like just metaverse. I don't know if there's like detailed categorization of like for example, like if we say DeFi now, there's like so many building blocks, right? That we can kind of like categorize and like start defining. Like yield farming, obviously like this, like the new category with like MEV protection. There's like all these like sophistication that comes from maturity of the industry, right? I don't know if there's something like that you're seeing, because like I'm not as close to metaverse as I'd like to be. So yeah, like I don't know if anyone else or Joseph is like seeing like more of a compartmentalization or like um what do you call that? Like narrowing down of like what kind of composes metaverse.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, like at least within crypto, like the biggest chance of seeing actual adoption of metaverse is through GameFi and crypto games, and things like YGG. There's Avocado Guild, which is just as big as YGG now in terms of guild members, and there's GuildFi in Thailand, and these guilds now have like 3 to 4 months of waiting list for people to apply to just play crypto games, right? And so um, crypto games will be like a segue to eventually like to open metaverse. I don't think technologically everything is ready yet to build an open metaverse in a practical and an efficient way, but I think the major component would always remain crypto games. I think they will be the anchor that eventually opens everything up to the real metaverse.
The I'm really interested in this like whole deal thing as well. I don't know if it like kind of fits the metaverse kind of topic, but yeah, like I know there are guilds. I'm not as familiar. What do they do exactly?
Yeah, so basically, like Yield Guild games and Avocado Guild and game GuildFi, yeah, like for example, YGG focuses mostly in the Philippines, Avocado Guild too, mostly in Axie, and basically what these guilds do is they rent out the NFTs so you can play the games
It's
like
like
Axie
scholarship.
Infinity. So right, so you can play basically without any costs, and there's a revenue split. So, for example, like I believe YGG is a 70-30 revenue split. So like whatever you earn, like 30%, I mean 30% goes to YGG, and then that runs the token economy for YGG, right? So with that with that revenue, YGG continues to buy more NFTs, like Axies, grow them, and then they can rent more out to users, for example, in the Philippines and Vietnam, so that there's a low barrier of entry for them. But the problem with these guilds is that there are too many people applying, and there's too little major guilds.
Right.
So the demand is far greater than the supply available. So that's why I think this is actually only the start.
Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, and I think Axie is probably the best version of these metaverses that are currently working right now.
Yeah,
With
are
their
guilds able to
upcoming,
like leverage anything? Like is it like, because look, you just said like the biggest Axie is the biggest, right? Is there
yeah,
anything else?
not just yet.
Right? Okay. So guilds
There's
are
other,
basically Axie guild. When we say guild, right now it's like Axie guild.
yeah. So when,
Well,
yeah, go ahead,
well,
Joseph.
well, there are different games that are emerging, like League of Kingdoms and Sandbox and these different games. So I think what would end up like if we're talking about what would become the next Axie, it would be the next game that is universally adopted by the major guilds, I think. So I think in terms of defining what the next major game is, I think the guilds will end up defining that.
That's
So
interesting.
we actually have a bit of a theory here. that it's the mobile games definitely have a leg up because all the scholars are from third world countries, and that they're the laborers of these ecosystems uh, for other players to come in later on.
Right.
So we kind of have a focus here of kind of, or I certainly do, I should say, um, of looking more so into these mobile games
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
they'll
No,
have a
you can
leg
say
up.
we. I can say we for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I think yeah. So 2 out of 20 of my scholars have a physical PC that they can use that they actually own.
Just
So
crazy.
um, I think we're going to see a trend in the at least in the near term where mobile like play to earn games are going to have the dominant leg up in metaverses for some time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, until there is like a AAA game that like releases something for PC that can really
Yeah,
compete.
I mean, yeah, and you know, when you're talking about crypto games, like the reason why mobile, the one with the successful mobile game will eventually be the biggest is because like these guilds, like some of the major guilds, they partnered with like the biggest telecommunication companies in their specific regions, right?
Mm.
So if they do that, then and they have a mobile game, then the telecommunication company has the ability to full push that, like for example, to the Philippines or to Vietnam, and they have an interest to do that. And if so, they could expose that game to tens of millions of people, like within a very short period of time.
Right.
So I think, yeah, I think in terms of like what will be the next axis, it would be like number one, it has to be the one with a proper mobile game that the telecommunications companies that are partnered with the like guild companies can support. And then the second is which are the like which is the game that 3 or 4 biggest guilds in the crypto space right now would universally support altogether.
Is there a difference between I by the way, I really like that framework. I think it's like for me, like right now it was a paradigm change to kind of like realize that maybe the next games are not defined by the actual games, but the benchmark is going to be like what gets adopted by these guilds, right? So that's like a pretty interesting take on like, finding the next big thing. Um, the other thing is there like a difference? Because like I know like these games are usually taken off in more of the third world countries, and I'm just wondering if there's like a difference between like the ecosystems in Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, some of these countries that might have these users, like Thailand. Yeah, so I think those are like the four major, like especially in Southeast Asia, like four major like countries that could potentially adopt, right?
Mm.
I don't know if there's difference there,
Yeah.
or is it just like one game takes up and it
Um,
pretty much, like it like monopolizes those like four countries.
yeah, I think because like you know in Southeast Asian countries, the telecommunications companies they have like really good marketing plans where everyone is basically on Facebook, right? So if something spreads on Facebook,
Oh, it's a
like
Facebook.
most of Southeast Asia, yeah, most of Southeast Asia knows about it. That's why the rate of Axie adoption is very strong. And another thing to consider is Southeast Asia has very strong fiat on-ramp infrastructure. Like so for example, like it's very easy to buy crypto. Like if you just walk into 7-Eleven, you could buy it. Like it's very, very easy.
Interesting.
Like there are like thousands like there are like tens of thousands of remittance outlets. Like every corner of the street there is one, and then you could buy crypto through it through an app. So like the readily available fiat on-ramp infrastructure plus the rate of like the speed of information spread on like Facebook
Right.
in Southeast Asia, it's like a combination of those two.
Got it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I should definitely visit Southeast Asia after all this Corona.
Yeah, like for example, like in the Philippines, you know, I was there for quite a while, and like even like it's really interesting because like especially in the provinces, you know, where like everyone kind of know each other, like small cities, the adoption of Axie is much stronger because everybody talks about Axie like to each other.
Mm.
So
Like the
like
word of
rural
mouth is
areas and
super strong.
provinces.
Word of mouth.
Yeah,
Mm.
and word of mouth plus Facebook basically.
Interesting. Okay. Is there like a reason why it actually took off, like other than like all these other games?
I think personally, like if you were to ask me, I think YGG was the big factor because people
Oh, so it was the guild.
like yeah, because people could yeah, I think because people could play it with a very low barrier of entry. So I think YGG was the reason, and then it just spread throughout Facebook
There was
basically.
also the integrate. They brought everything onto a side chain, so
Mm,
their entire economy moved to a side chain where there was no fees at all. So
right, right,
prior to this, like you had to use to breed axes, you had to use Ethereum, and then it was an additional $20 fee. And then each time you withdrew
right.
your SLP, there was a $20 fee, and then yeah, it just racked up. So with the addition of the Ronin chain, there was definitely an uptick in users because the fees were reduced. And I think we saw something similar when Binance integrated the Ronin network. So they made it so you could withdraw and deposit directly into Binance and from
Mm.
Binance.
Oh, that's
Um,
huge.
yeah, so it knocked down another $20 in fees or so to withdraw to your MetaMask. Um, so that saw another uptick in users.
God,
Mm,
it's
yeah,
it's like the
and
variance
you know
chain.
like currently though like it's really interesting because like Axie is running, but like obviously Axie is the biggest, but at the same time like the biggest wallets in Asia, like for example, Coin98 is the biggest crushing
Yeah,
wallet in
yeah, yeah,
Asia. Like it has like 400,000
yeah.
users, and like 80% of the user activity in Vietnam and the Philippines are Binance Smart Chain.
Really?
So yeah, so, and it's like 1% Polygon, 1% Solana. So like obviously like
Holy.
Binance has really good awareness, but at the same time like, users really want ecosystems that are cheap to use
Right.
and also something that they're familiar with.
Do you know anything about Tron's dominance?
Um, well,
Does I mean I
well,
That's for the
What the hell is this?
whales. That's
Yeah,
for
what
the
the
whales.
hell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
why would you ask that question, dude?
well,
I aren't they big in Asia? Like I'm a
um,
little off topic again.
like the retail statistics show they're not.
Okay,
Perhaps it's used by like power users, but not too much retail, at least on some of the wallets.
okay.
But yeah, I think basically, in my opinion, I think the next big game, the next big crypto blockbuster game would be on Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah, but it's like
It
that.
would have to have a mobile, yeah, it would have to have a mobile app, and then it would have to have a strong partnership with the three biggest guilds. And I think that those will be the criteria for the next one. And to be honest, like if you want to pick the next Axie like as your big bet, I think it doesn't make sense to go a spray and pray approach in metaverse or crypto games. I think it makes most sense to wait until a game meets the three criteria that we talked about. Because like Axie is worth
I agree.
$37 billion in FTV. Like just because the game is 100 million FTV, that doesn't mean like it's already too late to enter. In fact, like if a game actually takes off, it has the potential to become many billions in FTV.
Yeah,
So I think it makes more sense to be patient instead of spraying praying across the sector.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a great analysis. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. That's a good alpha for us to start chasing.
So
Yeah.
you're not really bullish on the, I guess, like the desktop version, the PC version, not as much. But I thought a lot of
I
these
mean,
like third world
mm,
countries, like, don't they have access to like these PC cafes that they can just like go
But
to?
it's like I
And
don't think this is like these games are played on PC cafes. It's like it's your life. Like you kind of like hold around with them and then like play on a bus, you play at school, like you play when you're on a break. It's like it's a less of it's like part of your life, less of like a like a broken out time in a day.
Gotcha. Yeah, because for
Yeah,
me,
I agree.
I come from, obviously like the PC gamer background kind of thing. So yeah, like I didn't really play much of like mobile game growing up. Yeah, so just kind of like, yeah.
It's also work for them though too. So
Exactly,
like a
exactly.
lot of my scholars, like it's like the end of the day, they go and they sit down and then they dedicate time to Axie. Like they don't really do it during the middle of the day because they have to focus in on Axie and like that's their a substantial part of their income. So like they have to, dedicate a decent amount of mind power to it, mind power.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's super interesting. Yeah, I want to explore more on this topic. Like yeah, later on as well, because like I do feel like GameFi is going to really like change the adoption. I think like since 2017, everyone's been yelling out like, "Oh, mass adoption," and like DeFi came along, but it was just like all the rich, OGs in the space that started using DeFi and like just getting more and more yields, right? I think for mass adoption, GameFi is like one of the things that makes the most sense at the moment.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think this might take a while in order for this to be kind of like a mainstream, but I do believe that, maybe like the branding or like the marketing could be done in like this metaverses. Like I know Coca-Cola was like one of the first one that did the whole NFT kind of thing
Right.
into like metaverse, but yeah, and then I think we're kind of seeing like other retail like very high profile yeah brands are kind of coming in, so like it will be interesting to see how it kind of ends up.
Right. Right. Interesting. Anything else from anyone else on this topic? Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's it for me.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Privacy. Finally, with Secret, I think we're seeing privacy pop up. We've been talking about privacy for a while.
Yeah, a little bit here and there. I wish Dennis was here because he was bullish on the Shade protocol. I was gonna make him talk for this.
No,
Oh
I think we
no.
should save that.
Yeah, they are actually coming on next week, I think.
Oh, it's secrets. It's like a secret DApp, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we have founders of Secrets coming in next week, I think.
well, you maybe want to just leave that, and we could just talk about Arbitrum Nitro and Binance
Sure.
Smart Chain.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So Arbitrum Nitro is rolling out, or Arbitrum is rolling out Arbitrum Nitro. And pretty much what this is it just they're switching the tech. I think from Solidity, they're switching it to WebAssembly. So everything's going to stay the same, and there's nothing that we have to do on our ends as users and validators. But we should we should be experiencing faster transactions, and I think they should be cheaper a little bit too. I didn't know if this is going to be. They said they coined
Wait,
20
just
to
like anywhere? You mean on Ethereum?
no. So on Arbitrum, when you're
On
using
Arbitrum, right? Yeah.
when you're using Arbitrum's chain, you should feel they coined a 20x to 50x faster.
That's so crazy because it's already
But I don't
so fast.
see. I think when they
Faster
say
than
that
what it
though,
was.
I
Huh?
think when they say that, I think they mean faster than Ethereum. So
Oh yeah, I think so.
faster
Yeah.
than what it was would be like your transactions are done
Impossible.
before you click the button.
You think about it and it's done.
Yeah.
It's like
It
yeah, the
just
pro. Have you seen that bit by Johnny Chung? It's like Prime before. I don't know if anyone's seen
Oh yeah.
that. Yeah, it's like Prime before.
no, I haven't. Bummed now.
It's gonna start reading our minds,
Dude, this is
and
yeah,
yeah, it'll be
Arbitrum.
done
The
before.
only thing about Arbitrum is like all the projects there are shit. Like there's not a lot of legitimate projects there. I don't know if that has changed or
Yeah.
not.
It's slow.
It's still a rug pool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
slowly
still like
starting to branch out. I covered a protocol here recently, Neku, and it's or Niku or something, and it's a lending protocol, but it's on Moon River and it's branching out to Arbitrum and it's moving to Cello next, or is it Cello or is it
So
Cello?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's moving over to Cello next. I think that has a potential to be a pretty good play, but yeah, there's just kind of this slow adoption of Arbitrum so far.
Right.
I haven't checked Optimism's growth here recently. I'm gonna jump on Coin90. I'm gonna jump on DeFi Llama and see.
Yeah, I feel like Optimism isn't really ready
Catching
yet.
on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's fully ready. It's just
No, I mean like the
yeah,
ecosystem itself. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the protocol's ready. So yeah, I don't know if there's
TVL's building up.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's like a play there. I mean, still like keep on an eye out on layer two because like I know it's gonna be big. Like I just like I have a feeling that it's gonna be huge, especially in the bull market when everything starts skyrocketing in terms of fees and everything. I think all it takes is like a couple of NFTs and projects to take off on like layer two, and that's it. That's like that's when like that's the signal.
Yeah, and I think we can almost wait for that signal. Like we don't maybe need to get in on the initial pump, but
Yeah,
it's just like we just got to wait for the trend, and I think the hard part would be seeing the initial kick and then like the initial pump, and then trying to see if it's a trend or not, if it's worth
right,
betting on. I think
right.
that's going to be the real trick to it.
Yeah, and also I do feel like, like DeFi 2.0, right? I think DeFi 2.0 works really well on layer twos. DeFi itself works on really well on layer twos, but especially DeFi 2.0, because I do feel like a lot of these like um, more advanced like settlement and frequent settlements and rewards and all of that, I think like the protocols can really save a lot of transaction costs with that. And like, like all these like dividend models like that becomes possible on like layer twos. Distribution becomes like a lot more frequent and a lot more like you can do like micro distributions as well. So I do feel like layer two is like perfect for DeFi 2.0.
I think it might only be a matter of time before these optimistic rollups are just as bogged down as Ethereum is right now, and has just the same amount of fees.
Really? So like I mean, isn't that the whole point that they won't get bogged down for layer twos? Right? Like I mean, like I don't know too much about Arbitrum, like and the tech infra and how it works, but I thought it gets faster and faster as more people use it.
I mean, there is a limitation to that, so I think it's currently topped out around like 100x. So I think that brings it up to like either like 1400. I think 1400 transactions per second, which I think is still kind of a bit low, and I think the like $5 fees is going to be kind of like the base level. So kind of like what we were already experiencing. I'm pretty sure that's kind of how I envision it, anyways.
Joseph, have you looked into like a lot of layer twos? I think you're on mute, Joseph. Oh, he might be on mute.
Oh, sorry. Could you repeat?
Have you looked into a lot of layer twos? Like the basically like ecosystem kind of setup and like your potential and like trajectory and basically like anything that's regarding the investment side.
Yeah, I think like 2 or 3 months ago, I was very bullish on the layer two that's supporting perpetual protocol.
So layer two supporting perpetual.
Yeah, I forget I forget the name just
I'll
right
I'll
now.
shout
But
it out if I find it here.
yeah, I was very I was very I think I was most bullish on the on that layer too. And then I think now I have full conviction that Arbitrum would be just, would remain the dominant one.
What gave you that conviction?
I think in terms of the rate of projects that are want to launch in Arbitrum, and also the level of developer activity that's going on over there is a little bit it's unmatched compared to other layer twos, I feel.
Really? How are you saving the level of developer activities? Or are you is that
Mostly,
like
I
from the
think,
grounds up?
yeah, I think mostly I'm coming from the number of teams and projects trying to build an Arbitrum compared to other layer
Right,
twos.
right. Okay.
And so you're talking about like Optimism, for example, or like Boba.
Yeah. Oh, before I was really optimistic about XDAI chain because
Oh yeah, XI.
XDAI had a really XDAI had a really good balance between centralization and decentralization. And so, like for a protocol like Perpetual Protocol, like such a practical layer two made so much sense. Like it was fast, it was decentralized enough where it doesn't cause controversy, and it was just very efficient. Like it was impossible for Perpetual Protocol at that time to launch anywhere else other than XDAI. But um, I think with the birth of like hop protocol, like these kind of layer two bridges, the gap would start to close between Arbitrum and XDAI, and I think Arbitrum would become much more useful, like with those bridges.
Mm. What kind of projects are you seeing that are being built on Arbitrum? Because like things that we've seen, we're not too confident in. It's like all like these like scammy ill farming and you
Seeing
know
Futures is one that's coming to Arbitrum.
yes, in futures. Yeah.
Yeah, I think many of the projects that I'm seeing are still very young. Like, but I think within the next month or two, I think we will start to see good projects come out. But I do fear that a little bit, because I think a lot of the low quality projects kind of um, not ruined, but it degraded like people's confidence in Polkadot in the early days. Um, because there were a lot of really good projects in Polkadot, like Akala, like still doing so
Yeah.
well. But then there were a lot of like B tier projects like flooding into Polkadot because Polkadot like hype was really strong at the time.
Right.
So I just hope that doesn't happen for Arbitrum.
I think it's already passed because we had like I don't know when it first launched. Like there's like slew of projects that kind of went in, and like we were getting involved in a lot of these like like down dirty kind of like like whatever pet
RB
name.
shitcoin,
Yeah, RB shit coins. Like yeah, like we were getting involved in a lot of RB shit coins and losing
RB Floki, and
yeah decent amount of money in there.
RB Doge, and
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's like maybe it's like if they are getting built now, I think it's like kind of like being washed away by some of these like more legitimate projects.
I think we've seen pretty steady growth in Arbitrum's TVL since the RB Nion collapse, though.
Right,
So
right,
I think
right.
it was up to 1.8 billion. I think it got to, and and then it kind of dumped. I think it definitely halved, and then we've seen a steady growth since then. So
Mm.
ultimately, it's the security I think is like the biggest.
Where is the growth happening? What like what's like taking that TVL?
I think it's like Curve.
Oh yeah, we
I
talked
think
about this. Yeah, Curve, sushi. Yeah,
yeah. Let me just double check this because I think we
yeah.
might have been talking. We might be getting confused with Avalanche.
No, no. I think we talked about Arbitrum, but yeah, like double check it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to mention on the whole Arbitrum and like Nitro and stuff? Because that's pretty interesting, and I would like to see like what kind of projects kind of like come out of that update.
In terms of WSM, I think Gavin Woods kind of explained like when he made Polkadot, like eventually he's more bullish on WSM instead of EVM, like later on, just for like the scalability to rise and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's good to kind of read into it. I think Akala is doing EVM and WSM. I know Shiden, yeah, Shiden, what's his name? Astar, right?
Yep.
Plasm product. Yeah, they're doing EVM plus yeah,
WASM.
WSM. So yeah, well,
Sorry, I'm dumb. What's WASM again?
WebAssembly.
Oh, WebAssembly.
Yeah.
so yeah, it would be good to kind of check that out. Maybe we can have a whole segment about that, like later on, like EVM versus WebAssembly. Yeah.
What's the difference? Like, what's the
The
difference
name?
between? Is it literally the name?
No, there's like a whole like a difference between it. I think it has to do with like the
Is it just like the underlying stack that's different?
um like I think it's better to like have a separate segment because like there's like more deep down into it. But I think it has to
Okay.
do with like more of like yeah, whole scalability and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it
And
could
how
be interesting.
what I got from the Arbitrum article is smart contracts run more efficiently on WebAssembly than they do on Solidity.
Oh, got it.
Just
Got it.
kind of a very basic layman's terms overview is how I interpreted it.
Got it. Got it. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just saw the link for the Arbitrum TVL composition. Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
there's about yeah, good I don't know, like 80% that's on Curved, SushiSwap, Abracadabra, AnySwap, and Synapse. Yeah, like I remember
Yeah.
this because like we were like, oh yeah, two of our bridges. Abracadabra
okay.
is like TVL, like this is like the like yield farming, and Sushi and Curve is like yield as well. So
I think Monte Carlo, which I'm really sure is MC Dex, but Monte Carlo, I think they have like fee incentives. Like I think you get like a rebate, like 100% rebate on your fees in on Arbitrum. So I think we've seen an uptick there, but there's still only like there's a little over $4 million TVL over there.
yeah, that's tiny.
Yeah, we're seeing some growth.
Oh, Arbitrum still has 1 mil.
Does it really?
Arbitrum still have 1 mil.
I say we farm. Let's farm the dump. Let's farm the dump. It's gonna go back to $6, guys. And we're gonna be fucking.
When you buy, it's just gonna drop.
Yeah, that's when it drops. Yeah, they're waiting for you to come in, dude. Yeah, you're their exit liquidity.
Don't fall for it.
Yeah. Don't
we're
go
talking
in
about
there.
shitcoins, so Viper turned his mic on.
Hey, yeah.
All I hear is exit liquidity.
Yeah, exit liquidity. I think we have a last topic. I don't know like how long this is gonna be based on I think it's gonna be a pretty short one, like the BSC the $1 billion fund. Is there any like does anyone have like any thoughts on that? On like what that's
going to be huge. DZ is not going to let BSC ever die, and that program used to be, I believe, 200 million. So the fact that he's pumping it to a bill, I mean, and here's the thing I love about CZ so much is he's like outspoken on Twitter, and he's like Sam with Solana, but he's just always tweeting positive things about BSC. And honestly, I've said this many times. I don't think BSC is ever going anywhere.
Oh yeah.
And I don't. And this is a kind of hot take, but I think you can. I think Solana really backs up my argument. But although I'm a big fan of decentralization and I hate centralization, that's why I'm on crypto. I think centralization does not hurt when it comes to different chains, because here's the thing. What are the two most successful layer twos that are going on right now? BSC and Solana, and they're both heavily centralized. And so like
Even layer
I don't
ones.
think
Yeah, layer ones.
or
Same.
what wasn't BSC layer two?
BSC? No,
It's
BSC is layer one.
how you
No,
how you
yeah,
define it.
It's
Yeah,
an
but
EVA compatible
it is
layer
layer
one.
one.
I never remember which is the layer
yeah.
one or layer two, but yeah, so I think that's super bullish for BSC, and kind of excited, and it also incentivizes innovation. I think that's why they're called innovation launchpad or whatever. But you'll stop seeing a lot of these low effort projects, and you'll also see devs migrating from chain to chain, which is my favorite thing. Because, for example, I think we can all laugh at KuCoin. They don't really have a heavy incentive or a lot of money being thrown at new projects. And so if there's no money and no hype over there, devs hop and get out of KuCoin, for example. And so then that chain starts to die. So like I like that you're reinvesting in a chain and you're kind of attracting very experienced developers.
Right.
And I'm just tired of seeing all these forks, low effort forks. Like it's time to, bring innovation to a chain and start something new. And so, the $1 billion I think is great. And so I'm really bullish and really excited.
There's something to be. You talk a lot of shit on the forks, but I've never had more fun in crypto than buying food coins and dog coins and shit coins.
Oh, trust me, you're talking to the
Fuck
king of
yeah.
shit coins. I made my fortune off of Elon Cumrag, like all these weird coins, man. Like, but it would be nice to see a non reflect shitcoin animal token. It'd be nice to see some. For example, you're talking about a MEV protection swap. Like that's cool, or NFT launchpad, or so just all these innovative ideas versus the next Elon shitcoin.
Yeah.
Hey dad, how did you make money?
Dad, how did you buy this estate? Well, son, it all started with Elon Cumrag butthole. It really
Yeah,
made
you
him.
can't explain this shit to anyone. Yeah, it's fucking impossible to let your parents
I
know.
tried to.
Yeah, like it's like I gave up. Yeah, they stopped listening. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like, has Avalanche done anything with their whole like 230 million whatever? Like the grant? I feel like these grants are just like I don't know. They're like more of a marketing play. The Avalanche.
Right?
Seems like that.
Yeah, like I don't know.
I think
Has anyone like really used that grant wisely?
Yeah, so I think they're still kind of getting rolled out, from my understanding. So like I know Trader Joe's going to get like rolled out here mid October is what they said. And I think like the whole reason why these ecosystem growths kind of or have kicked off is because I think everybody looked at the playbooks from Binance Smart Chain and Polygon, which kind of really brought a lot of new users to the ecosystem. So I think like we see like Avalanche trying to replicate that definitely in like FTM, and then since then we've seen Algorand announce an ecosystem. I think Harmony, right? And now
Yes.
Binance Smart Chain announced their second iteration of it. So I think it's something to be said for like how saturated everything is right now.
Yeah, it's like
I think we
where's
have to
that
kind of see where the best.
all that money gonna go, right? I think that's the question. It's like
Yeah,
who's gonna get that money?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely see a big competition between these ecosystems, and so far they've kind of like right now how I've seen it unfold is Avalanche is going to be first. They're going to be starting sometime this month. So I think everything before this was kind of hype and kind of by the news, from my understanding. And then after this, I think in like a month or two, Phantom is going to start rolling out their incentives. Again, this is what me and Dennis were talking about the other day. So I don't know necessarily, but this is what he was talking about. So I think we're going to see this rotation from Avalanche. We're going to see another rotation back into Avalanche for these incentives, and then
Right.
back into Phantom, and then potentially back into like Algorand, and maybe and definitely Binance Smart Chain. I mean, $1 billion ecosystem fund is not going to go missed, right?
Man, Trader Joe just keeps dumping. What's going on over there?
Oh my God! Don't even tell me. I'm holding so
God.
many bags. Don't even
You're
tell me.
diamond handing?
I'm diamond
It's
handing,
3
dude.
AC.
Yeah.
It's 3
Wait,
AC
Imagine selling
dumping.
the
Wait, what?
early.
No, it's up today. What are you talking about?
Or what's it at now?
It's at $2. It's at $2, dude.
Yeah, but it used to be like 3.
Oh no, yeah, I saw it at 150. I saw it go down to 150, and I was like, I'm just gonna forget about it. Yeah, I don't look at that
Viper
wallet.
Viper doesn't comprehend buying low.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I buy high, sell low. That's the Giga Chad.
I
Yeah.
think Trader Joe just announced the lending. They did this whole like
Banker Joe.
marketing, the whole video that looks really nice. Yeah, the teaser
Dude,
video.
I'm holding everything. If crypto market goes down, I'm gonna be poor. If it goes up, you're not gonna see me in these calls again.
You need to sell your JPEGs, man.
Yeah, dude.
Get some good plays.
I've
Hold them.
100% exposure. It's
Those are my retirement pictures.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
Garland's the type of guy who is 1,000x or dust.
I don't think I've sold anything. No, dude, I haven't sold anything since like maybe July or August. Like
Jeez.
like it's just been crypto's been boring for me. I just like buy and hold. Yeah.
Garland's market thesis is ate so hard, you're either going to be broke or have enough to buy a small nation.
Dude, super cycle. Super cycle.
Super cycle.
It's all of that super cycle. I think the 3AC guys were like kind of like big on this super cycle. So I just kind of like
super cycle.
Yeah, bought into that narrative. Oh, someone tweeted this out. If you're saying super cycle, then you're someone else's extra liquidity. Like I saw that tweet and I was like, block this person. I don't need this negativity on my feed.
Yeah,
I think all phony guys just like telling me that I'm doing the right thing with the super cycle. So anyone who mentions on my Twitter, it's like I'm the exit liquidity. I'm gonna block them.
That's what we're here for. We're just yes men.
yeah, the echo chambers. Anyways, I think this was really good. Anyway, let's wrap it off. I think like especially around like the whole gaming and GameFi, I do really want to start looking into that whole like deeply into like the winners there. And maybe like we have a good network in like Philippines and Vietnam. So I want to maybe like start exploring like what's kind of popping up, right? And maybe some of the some of the game kind of like games that might be on BSC, mobile friendly, has good connection with some of the guilds there. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know how big the whole Axie thing is until Joseph kind of mentioned that, like everybody in like cafe, whatever.
Yeah, I kind of have this
Yeah.
suspicion, but yeah, like I think it's good to like listen to someone from the ground up. So yeah, let's do that. Sounds good, guys.
I could maybe have on someone who's pretty well versed in metaverses too coming up.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Sure, you'd love to be on.
Yeah. Someone who's like, someone. Let's try to get someone who's like down in the ground right now and like seeing things like Joseph did, but like way deeper, right? Like they're in a guild, like they're, like they're.
No offense, Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph, even amazing. Yeah, but yeah, someone like that, I think would be really really interesting.
No, I want Joseph.
Yeah, we should have Joseph. Yeah. Anyways, All right, perfect,
We
guys.
like Joseph.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Kadeem will share the notes on our channel. And then we'll just go from there. Yeah, like we grew a lot too. So I mean, like it's really good that we're just constantly growing our channel. Yeah, it's at
Yeah.
like 11K now.
The Telegram. Whoa.
Yeah,
The Telegram is like the spell right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just straight up.
Yeah, it's yeah, just going up now. I think like word of mouth traveled somewhere, and then it's just like yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Boney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, Joseph.
Thanks for coming on, Joseph.
Definitely a lot of insights.
Yeah, dude, that was amazing, dude.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, but it's really good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Joseph.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, see you later.